Hello everybody, welcome to Red Tool House. We have finally gotten a reprieve from the continuous rain. So we got a couple days of dry, and we're going to try to get more of our plants in, but it requires me to do some front end work with the mill and getting some more lumber ready to make raised beds. So I think Kelly and I are going to tag team this video. I'll start on the front and she'll finish on the back. So come along. So with several weeks of ridiculous rainfall, we just hadn't had a chance to do anything here in the garden. The weeds have exploded. If it wasn't for our tarps that we're laying down here, this place would be a jungle right now. But you can see the edges are out of control. But what we're going to focus on is getting this area planted with tomatoes. And this will be our first time trying raised beds. And what I want to do, I'm experimenting with a small square raised bed. I'm thinking maybe either a 12 by 12 or a 20 by 20. I think a 20 by 20 is probably going to make more sense. And that will represent one tomato plant. And we're just going to grid them out here between me and you all and be able to have, Kelly can put her transplants in there. And that will allow us to manage the weeds a little bit better because we can still put fabric down over that 20 by 20 and plant our transplant. And then I can come back and fill in all around that with mulch, wood chips that we need. And that's what we need to do here. It's just been too daggone wet to transport wood chips. So I think Kelly has 20 tomato plants. So I got to mill enough lumber to produce 20 by 20. 20 is a magic number today. 20 by 20. Yes, 20 by 20 raised beds that she can lay out here. And she's going to try to do that tomorrow. She's all farm today, and I'll be all farm tomorrow. So this will be a tag team effort. So man, whoever says time does not fly by does not have logs on the ground waiting to be milled. Because I think this poplar, I know this poplar came from right here, and I did a video on it, and I believe, I'd obviously go back and check the video. By the time you see this, I'll state how long it's been. But I think these have been laying here a year now. And for poplar, that's no bueno. So we got to get these cut up. They're going to start to get a little punky, but what perfect opportunity to use those for raised beds. I'm not going to shoshugi bond these. I'm not going to treat them. I'm not going to do anything. We're just going to stick them there, put dirt in them, and I'll be happy if I get this season out of it, which I will. I should. We're going to mill them thick. Should get a season out of it, and they'll just break down into dirt and rot, and they'll get chucked. And if we like that design, we think that'll work well for next year, then maybe next year we'll invest in a little bit more longevity when it comes to how we treat them. So, I guess the logical thing is just to start at the end, right? One closest to us. Here, we got to do some math now. If I want 20 inches, 10-footer, 112, right? 120. Yeah, so 10-footer makes sense. So let's do that. See, it had a really bad funky dog leg there, so that's why I cut this one short. That one's 8 feet, but it went up and down and around. So this will be discard. The butt log is 10 feet. The top log is 10 feet. Middle log is 8 feet. So, that top log's got a little walk to it as well. We'll start here, see what we can get. Wonder how many wasps have built nests in this since I last used it. She looks like she's got a little bit of a fishtail here at the end, or at the beginning, whichever way you want to look at it. But since we're not trying to get a specific length boar to yield, and we're just getting 20s, it will suffice. I'm just going to cut it out. I'm not going to try to toe board it or anything. Because if we have some wane, then we'll just skip it. Good thing about poplar being on the ground this long, I can pull the bark off of it pretty easy. All right, there's log number 1. The blade is getting a little dull. She's getting a little bit of wander in it. Not as in, why am I here? Not an existential wander, but more of a walking around a little bit. So that got 9-inch wide boards, 1.5 inches thick, And what do we yield? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's 7. Good Lord. 6. There's 6 20-inch pieces in that 120-inch long board. So that gives me a box and a half. So 1.5. So if I've got 7 times 1.5 is 10 and a half boxes. So I need basically that yield again. But I'm going to take this up. I'm going to take this up to the house, drop them in the backyard of the garden, and I've got a conference call, a consulting call that I have to do, and we'll get a new blade and come back down. So speaking of consulting calls, if any of you out there have a piece of property or are looking to purchase a piece of property and would like me to come down, walk it, and put together a very comprehensive assessment of how to set it up for a homestead farm or whatever direction you want to take it, within the realm of farming, of course, then reach out to me, troy@redtoolhouse.com. It's a flat fee plus travel, and we can get you taken care of. It's really fun to look at other people's land and just imagine with them, dream with them, what they can do with that canvas. And we just pull from our 24 years of experience of painting on this canvas. All right, let's get back at it. All right, so it's a couple hours later. I got another log on here. This is the 8-footer, and I think I'm a little under 8 foot because it doesn't fit between my vertical supports. So that's why I have this scrap wood on here. That's a sacrificial board that's going to get cut down as I square this cant, and it helps me stabilize the log. It doesn't just roll off. So we're going to start milling this and see what we can get out. Now, I'm going to, for your all's sake, I'm not going to record this in detail because the heat index right now is about 98 degrees, and I am sweltering. So I think I'm going to lose some clothing. I'm not going to sawmill naked, but I'm going to at least take my shirt off. And nobody needs to see that because there ain't nothing whiter than that. But you know, it's funny. I went up, did my conference call inside. The air conditioning was rolling. My Mexican-made couch was saying, "Troy, come take a siesta." So it was really tough to get back out here in all this heat. It's way too hot this early in the year, but we will press on. We need garden, so let's make some sawdust. Okay, so first log, 7 boards. Second log, 6 boards, but they're short, of course. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yeah. And then last log, 6. And they were 12 feet long. Not a lot of wane in those, so those will be good. So, what, 13 12-footers and 6 8-footers, 7-footers-ish. That should give her plenty. She could do whatever she wants, as many boxes as she wants. She is box rich right now. Hey, babe.
Hey, those are really big boards.
Not the first time I've heard that.
What are we building?
All right, so these are the raised beds we talked about. And so the yield was just whatever the log would yield. And so I set a precedent with 9-inch wide. That's what I could get out of these 3 logs. So my thought, and I think we discussed off and on, may be doing 20 by 20 square boxes. Okay. So I cut these logs 12 feet long. So you should be able to get 1.5 boxes out of each board.
Okay.
20, 4 20s. Yeah, so should be able to get 6 20s out of that. Is that right? No, 5 20s. No, 6 20s. 6 20s. 120 divided by 20 is 6, right?
Yes, but you said they're 12 foot long, so that's not 120.
That's 144 inches, isn't it? They needed to be 10 feet. What was I thinking? Actually, the first one's 10 feet. This one's 12 feet. This shows you people how stupid I am and how far coming in and getting air conditioner for an hour just changes everything. So yes, you're right. So we have 7.5 feet, 10 feet, and 12 feet. So the 10 footers was what I was basing it off of, but 12 you got 144, so that's 7, right? Yeah, 7 20s out of 144 with some change.
Yep.
So anyway, just squaring them up, screw them together, making boxes, stand them up in our spots on their sides, of course, and backfill with dirt. And what I wanted to do, I was going to talk to you about this, is so 2020 was just arbitrary.
Yeah.
But if you look at your filter fabric, because we're going to fabric these too, right?
Yes.
Then if it makes sense that it's 18 by 18 or something, because it gives you half a sheet of filter fabric. I can't remember exactly how wide those were, if that was 4 foot wide or what. Do you remember?
They're supposed to be 4 feet, but I don't recall what the actual was.
Okay, so if we've got room to play with there, it's no big deal, but we'll take that into consideration when we start cutting these up.
Yep.
Now you guys may be wondering, if Troy's sweating his guts out, why is Kelly standing here in a denim jacket? Was the office a little cold today?
I'm still thawing out from work.
Yeah. She works in a cinder block building that's like a dungeon. It's just cold all the time, so she has to thaw out.
Freeze me.
You should have been here running the mill. You'd have thawed out real quick. I was topless.
Oh my.
Yeah, most of the shoot, but we did some creative angles, so you could have joined me.
I don't think so.
Anyway, so I actually have to go get in the shower and get ready. I serve on our elder board at our church, so I got to go have an elders meeting. That usually runs till midnight, so that's sometimes can be 6-7 hour long meeting, which is always fun. So I'll see you tomorrow.
Yep.
But then I got to be out in the morning to do some other meetings. But I think we're all going to try to regroup now around 1 o'clock. I think your dad's going to come out.
Yeah, Dad's going to come out and help me. He might be putting the boxes together for me. I just wanted to get an idea of what you were envisioning so that we knew what we were doing. Okay, so 20 by 20. Yeah, Dad's going to help me with that, and hopefully we can get all of these plants planted.
Yeah, well, I'll have the tools. Everything's in the side by side. The saw, square, screws, all that, screw gun, all that's in there. But I should be back hopefully by the time he gets here so we can tag team it. But anyway, I'm tagging off to you. Your turn. You're in charge.
I'll take the challenge.
You're in charge of the rest of this video.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, here we go.
I'll catch you guys later.
So we are pulling back the tarps and seeing what this looks like underneath. It's been quite wet, and so it's a bit squidgy. Troy has made it back already. I had errands I had to run this morning, so we all planned to meet back up this afternoon. So Dad and Troy are working on the planter boxes that Troy milled the wood on yesterday for the tomato plants specifically. The peppers are going to go in these raised beds here, but we're going to arrange the tomato plants in this area where the tarps were. And we had the tomatoes in this area last year, and so we're going to mix it up just a little bit. We're going to do it a little bit differently. We're obviously going to have the planter boxes, which will allow us to come in and weed eat or mow in the pathways. And we're going to lay, I think we're going to lay the fabric down on each box. And we're not exactly sure how we're going to lay out the rows. We've talked about it a couple different ways because of the way the water runs through here. We want to put them in the best spot. So we'll see how it goes. So while they're working on the tomato plants, I'm going to carry around all of my pepper plants. And I'm going to bring you in so you can see them in a minute, but let me bring those all around. Woohoo!
Want to proof or make more like this?
Wow, that's going to be a nice size.
Yeah.
So my peppers did quite a bit better than what you got to see last time. Still not show quality, but there's one pack of them. Here's another pack. Definitely much better leaves-wise. Okay, all of these are the ones that I grew from seed. Now, let me show you the ones I got from store-bought. Okay, so here's some red peppers, and let's see, these are yellow, I believe. Yeah, some yellow peppers. And so now, these are some tomatoes that I bought that also will be planted once we have the boxes made. So I'm going to set them down here for now. Here are some snapdragons that I planted earlier. Some poppies here in the raised beds, need a good watering, although we are expecting storms this afternoon. Stalks in this bed. Look at the peas on this trellis, doing well. Whoa, that is squidgy. I'm sinking. You guys, I don't know if I'm supposed to be trimming these. To continue trimming these, but my goodness, they're falling over because they're so big, and I don't know if that promotes. So I've counted and I've got 46 peppers that need to be planted, and I think I'm only going to plant 32. I've got 4 beds, and with the spacing in between the onions, I think I'm going to do 2 plants in each of the 4 rows between the onions. My plan is to do 1 bed. Actually, I've got a lot of red peppers, so what I'm going to do is do 2 beds of red peppers. One of them I can harvest when they're green, so that'll take care of red and green. I'm going to do this whole bed with orange, and I've got 2 different varieties of orange peppers. And then I don't have as many yellow, so I'm going to do this bed with yellow, and probably out of the 5 jalapeno plants, do 2 of them, because they've been very prolific in the past. We don't eat that many jalapenos, so I'll probably just plant 2 of those. So now I just need to get started on making the holes for the plants. So while I'm working on planting peppers, Dad is bringing in the boxes to see what our spacing might be. I told Troy I wanted to have 20 boxes for tomatoes, but I'm thinking I want 20 Roma tomatoes plus some other types of tomatoes, not too many other types. And so we may go ahead and just use the boxes for the Roma, since we're going to have 20 of those boxes made, and that's what he planned for. And then maybe we will, over in this area, just plant the other varieties. I've got a couple of cherry tomatoes and some slicing tomatoes that we might just do a row in here and put up a cattle panel as their trellis. The Roma tomatoes are not going to get, they are determinate, so they're not going to get as large as the other varieties, and I believe They are average about 4 feet tall, max, is what I'm thinking if I'm remembering correctly. But anyway, they're a little bit easier to control, and maybe we'll just use cages for those. But I'm going to get back to work on the peppers. So Troy is lining up the boxes and measuring to get them evenly spaced. To see how they're going to fit in this space and what makes sense. So we're going to do 20 boxes, and he's trying to give enough space in between. They're also still going to use a cattle panel along the back of them for their trellis. So this front row here, a 16-foot cattle panel is going to break about the center of each of this first one and that last one over here. And then we'll do 2 more rows. We are.
In my sunshine.
So this is the idea, is to cut the fabric and stretch it over the top. That's our idea. We're going to see, I think that's going to be easier than Troy having to make more staples to hold it down inside the dirt, and I think it'll keep it tighter. But I'm going to test it out here. I've just got a couple done, and I'm going to test it and then we'll move on. No.
It's always got to try stuff out.
So it looks good.
16 individualized litter boxes.
I know.
Yeah, that's what he's doing. He's peeing it right now.
Well, the cats like to sleep on the other raised beds. I was planting peppers and he kept getting up there. These are pitiful looking. Wait till we get out the ones we bought. Okay, I think that's gonna work. I did get all of my peppers planted. These are home started. These are store started. Anyway, I did end up getting 8 per bed. The onions all trimmed. Everything's watered in except for the tomatoes that we are still working on. Got these little flower boxes weeded. My flowers, these pea flowers, are not doing so well. As a matter of fact, a couple of them were burned up, but we've got a few. So I planted some marigolds in here, some cucumbers in here, and ended up just putting some sunflower seeds in the ground here at the end of this box. These, again, are radishes. So it's coming along. So we are trying to beat the clock before it gets dark and get these finished up. We ended up with 18 beds, individual beds. I am trying to get all of these tomatoes in the ground before we go inside. Really think that this is
Pain in the butt?
a pain in the butt.
Stupid idea.
We're going to see how this idea works. We're not sure if we're going to put wood chips here in the pathways or if we are just going to keep it weed-eated. But that way, with the boxes, we'll be able to get in here with something and keep up the maintenance. Anyway, we will see how this works out for these tomatoes. We do have more tomatoes that we're going to plant elsewhere unless I decide this is it and don't do all of them as aroma. We'll just see how much we can get through this evening. But anyway, I think that this fabric is going to, well, we'll see how that goes. It seems like it might work well for this application. But we will let you know how it goes. We'll let you know if these tomatoes survive in this new planting style. The little ones versus the ones here that we got from the store. So we'll just see how they hang on. We'll keep you posted as always. And we thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you on the next one.